Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Navigating Industry Changes with Sandz Infrastructure as a Service. This event is brought to you by Sandz Solutions Philippines, powered by Zadara. My name is Jolly Cortez, and it is my pleasure to act as your host and moderator for this morning's event. But before we get the ball rolling, I would just like to remind everyone that this session is being recorded. If you have any questions, please feel free to click on the Q&A button on your screens. We also encourage everyone to stay until the end of the event as we will be giving out prizes for the early bird participants and grab gift vouchers during the quiz break. We also have exciting raffle prizes up for grabs, such as wireless earphones, wireless chargers, and a smart watch. With those announcements completed, let's dive into the discussion. There is a popular saying that goes, the only thing constant in this world is change. True enough. We all have seen so much of it happen that there are times where it is a bit of a challenge to keep up. If we focus in our IT community where technology and trends can evolve in a blink of an eye, it is important that all of us are able to have a grasp of these developments as quickly as possible in order to either leverage the change to our advantage or, should that change not be compatible, work around it while looking for an alternative that will better fit and support our goals. Last year, VMware's acquisition sparked a discussion among its users. There were questions around support, pricing, and overall direction. Today, we have invited you to this webinar in the hopes of giving you a clearer picture of how Sandz Infrastructure as a Service, powered by Zadara, can help you navigate these industry changes through an alternative platform that is flexible, agile, and 100% consumption based. Jump-starting this morning's session is Paul Bennett, who has been in the tech industry for over 2 decades. He leverages his extensive experience from roles at Commvault, IBM, Sun Microsystem, and EMC. His expertise spans across storage, compute, and virtualization, fueling his passion to drive business transformation. Hello, Paul. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, joining Paul is Matt Edman, as he's an IT expert. Matt has over 2 decades of experience in the technology sector. His expertise encompasses a broad spectrum of technologies, including cloud infrastructure, edge computing, and data management. Matt is dedicated to helping businesses achieve agility, scalability, and efficiency through Sadara's enterprise-grade solutions. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having us today. Looking
Okay,
forward to it.
I won't keep you guys any longer and hand the discussion over to Paul and Matt. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, JLI. I just share my screen. Okay. Everyone see that screen okay? All right. Let's get started. Thank you for having us, and let's hope this is a good session where the people that have joined can learn more about what we're offering as an alternative to VMware. So here's the agenda broken into 3 areas today. Basically, the first one is just to sort of align everyone why we're having this conversation and what's been happening in the industry in the last sort of 6 months, 9 months. And the next point, we're just going to look into what Zadara has as an alternative to VMware and focus on where we're unique and different. And then the last one is talk about how we can get you there. So, you know, one of the, on any projects, the migration is important and timely. So we'll look at how we can help people to move across to a new platform. So why are we actually having this conversation? Well, most people would be aware that are on this call that in November last year, Broadcom completed an acquisition of VMware for a very large amount of money, for 69 billion USD, which is actually the largest acquisition that Broadcom has made. And Broadcom are a company that have a business model which is predominantly growth by acquisition. They've acquired Computer Associates, CA, some time back, and I think they also acquired Veritas at some point in time. The important thing here is the one in the middle, which is the stated objective of the acquisition, is they want to double the profitability of VMware within 3 years. This is sourced from Forbes in December 2023. That's a really strong financial goal, and we're going to talk about how they might possibly try to do that. So we're starting to see some results of the acquisition now in the market. So this is a comment made by Forrester Research just recently in May this year, where they're seeing with their customer base multiple times cost increases on the VMware licenses. And this is through a new product packaging and bundling offering that Broadcom are bringing to market. It's through a shift from the subscription-based, from perpetual to a subscription-based pricing. And also there's been a significant change in the VMware partner ecosystem, where they've consolidated and collapsed a lot of the partners down, or removed partners' ability to deal direct with VMware. There's a lot of change going on. Some more comments. These are comments from the analysts. So we've got Gartner, Forbes, and Forrester here. And it's sort of key to listen to what they're saying. So Gartner's saying, identify potential contingencies for deployed VMware products should the situation become untenable. The untenable component is really a financial component, and we'll look at why that is. Then you look across here at Forbes at the end of last year, not long after the acquisition happened, was wherever feasible, mitigate risks with potentially a dual vendor approach. So many VMware customers across the board are already adopting alternative or dual source solutions where possible, while looking at alternative solutions for greenfield projects. So this side by side, keep the VMware, but look at potentially for new greenfield projects, for new application development and deployments, look for an alternative solution. And then here, Forrester in May developed strategies to minimize future risk. So the interesting thing here is Forrester predicted last fall, which is like September last year, 20% of large VMware enterprise customers will begin to leave the VMware stack this year. So all the analysts are saying, be careful, look for alternatives, prepare for contingencies, and they're starting to see some migration of customers. So a little bit now about actually what has happened with the VMware license changes, which is the compelling reason why people are looking at VMware as an alternative. You're seeing here in December the 11th, so December last year, there was the announcement by Broadcom of the discontinuation of perpetual licenses. So the movement from perpetual to subscription, which might be okay for people, but also what they've done is they've increased the cost and the bundling effect. So on December 11th, effective that day, Broadcom announced the end of sale of both perpetual licenses and support and maintenance for several products. And these new policies are impacting the following products, which are the popular products: vSphere, VCF, vSphere, NSX, ARIA, and others. This is sourced from Gartner, February 7th this year. So this is just a graphical of some of the new VMware bundles that have been introduced. So we have one called VVF and one called VCF. VVF is vSphere Foundation, which is called a modest offering bundle, and then VCF, which is the full range. And at the same time, VMware will stop selling ARIA Suite, NSX networking, and vSAN. And there's a visual of that. So bundles have been created. The challenge with the bundles, and this is from Forrester, is tech leaders going through refresh and renewals are realizing that VMware's new packaging, the new bundles, is one of the reasons behind the price increases. So VMware has condensed all its products into 2 bundles, which we talked about before, VCF and VVF. But even if you're just using the one product, you end up paying for all the bundles, which wasn't happening before. Plus, it's moving to a subscription model. Forrester, May 2024. So this is now talking about, okay, so we've had the acquisition and we've had the introduction of the new bundles, and what are we seeing actually in the field? What's the feedback that we're seeing from customers? So basically, we're seeing anywhere between a 2 times to a 5 times increase to the licensing cost from before the acquisition to after the acquisition, when people get into the renewals and negotiations with Broadcom. So there's significant price increases, enough of a commercial impact for people to start looking at alternatives pretty much straight away. And these are 2 quotes from 2 CIOs. The CIO on the left is Computershare. It's a very large organization in Australia. In May of this year, they were in conversations with VMware. So the CIO had a phone call and discovered that their cost was going to increase somewhere between, this is quite significant, 10 to 15 times in 12 months, which obviously spurred them on a bit, meaning they then decided to make a decision to actually do the migration, and they're looking at moving approximately 24,000 VMs. So this is a very big, large organization, one of the enterprise accounts. They would be classified as an enterprise account with VMware, with Broadcom. Another one over here, this is CEO is Andrew Fan, Treasure Island, which is one of the casinos in Vegas. And same thing, right? So they made a decision to move all their workloads, including the mission critical workloads, when they learned that the existing hypervisor pricing, the VMware pricing, was more than double. So you're having the impact in the field of somewhere between 2 and 5, and in certain cases where you might be using all the portfolio, maybe you're running Tanzu as well, you're in a territory or what could even be higher than that. So now we're going to look into what solution from a technical and a commercial perspective does Zadara have in the market. Now, if no one knows who Zadara is, we're a cloud service provider. We've been around for like 10 years. The technology's mature. We started in the public cloud 10 years ago with storage services, and we gradually built that over the years to now a full IaaS offering, so compute, storage, and networking. And we've also brought that public service, public cloud, down into private clouds on premise. And we have over 500 availability zones or clouds deployed around the world. And we have many clouds, many Zadara clouds deployed and running in the Philippines for many verticals. So what I'm now going to focus on a little bit is the main differences between the Zadara offering to some of the other hyper-converged offerings in the market. So the first one here is just talking about the commercial offering. So because we're a born in the cloud company, our commercial offering is OpEx based. It's consumption based. It's the cloud consumption model, whereby you're consuming in a pay per hour, pay per gigabyte, or pay per instance model. From an alternative to VMware, we have developed our own hypervisor, and that's included in the platform at no charge. If you happen to be using some of the advanced services with VMware, like containers, we also support Kubernetes, and that's included on our platform. There's a cost to that. But yeah, so the main differences here, we've got their own hypervisor. We're providing a cloud consumption model that you may or may not be used to, which is on a pay per hour per gig. Now, the important thing here is a cloud consumption model aligns to your usage, meaning that it can go up and down. It also means that you don't have to CapEx and find, X hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever it is. So they're the main commercial differences, and you probably won't see these commercial cloud consumption offerings in an on-prem world, in your own data center with your own infrastructure. Also, we have some variable terms, meaning you can assign contracts with us between 1 and 5 years. Again, that's unusual. Most of the hyperconverged infrastructure vendors do your 3-year plus. So having the ability to do a shorter period gives you more flexibility. It's a fully managed service, like when you're consuming the public cloud providers, which means the infrastructures and the upgrades are fully managed by Zadara. You don't have to worry about that. We're patching it, we're maintaining it, which means it's less overhead for you as a user, and you can spend that additional time that you're getting back on things like, modernization of your application, digital modernization or transformation. Again, some of these things with cloud services, you're getting a more of a predictable cost. You're getting a self-service portal that's been developed. It's that cloud experience, can be in the public cloud or it can be on premise, like in the Philippines. From a technical model, there's sort of a takeaway here, which is something that if you want to sort of understand what Zadara does, one is this commercial offering of the consumption model in an on-prem world, but we also have developed, before the Broadcom acquisition, we've developed some technology that's unique to us, specifically around helping people migrate. So customers were coming to us and say, hey, we're migrating off of VMware. Can you make it easier for us? So what we've done is we've created 2 types of networking topology that you can choose from. One's called DVS and one's called VPC. So if you want to think of it like, you can move from VMware to Zadara, migrate, and stay the same, meaning you can keep that networking topology, and Matt will talk about this in more detail soon. We call this model DVS, which is distributed switch, specifically aimed at VMware and legacy-based customers. Or you can choose to migrate and modernize, meaning you can start using some of the cloud native functionalities, VPCs, etc., auto scaling, load balancing, and this is all AWS compatible. Or you can have both of these running on the one platform. No one else can do this, neither the hyperscalers nor the on-prem hyperconverged providers. And this over here on the left is just a little screenshot, simple but very powerful, where you're starting up a new project. Say you've got an account you've set up and you're starting up a new project. You've got a choice here to choose either of these networking technologies for the migration. So if you wanted to just stay the same, you click on DVS, and if you wanted to use VPC, you click on VPC, and you can run these side by side on the same cloud. So you can take your legacy and put it across, and you can also deploy greenfields in a cloud way. So you can modernize at the same time as migrating, or you can stay the same. So that's a key takeaway with Zadara. There's no one else that can provide that functionality and that flexibility of having those 2 models. So some of the features and capabilities we have in a little bit more detail. As I said, we're born in the cloud. So we have over about 100 infrastructure services, and they're just broken down here to give you a view into compute and storage. So we have compute, storage, and networking services. In the compute, we have this concept of AWS concepts, so instances, whole different variety of instances that you can choose from, elastic block volumes. We've got auto scaling groups. So all the cloud native, really advanced features are offered. VPCs, NAT gateways, elastic IPs, load balancers, direct subnets that is unique to us, that Matt can talk about in a little more detail. We are all API driven, and we support Terraform, and we also support Kubernetes as a service, EKSD. And then down here is the second option where you can use DVS as an easy way of getting on the cloud using the distributed switch. Object storage, scale up, scale down, or either two-way or erasure coding. We support Swift and the AWS S3 protocols, encryption, etc., etc. And then from a storage perspective, we support block and file. We support all the protocols. We support all the data types and all the advanced storage services like compression, dedupe, and tiering, fine analytics, containers, and the replication services for snapshots, for remote mirroring or high availability. So there's a full mature set of services that we have for compute, networking, and for storage. Matt, would you like to go through this slide, please?
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Paul. So you can see that I'm zooming in and out here. Got the Zadara Z Compute, AWS VMware. So we've got a bit of a comparison between these. And the reason is because partially we have the AWS functionality covered, as Paul just showed, and we also have VMware capabilities covered. So instances, AWS instance types, we even provide AWS instance types with Zadara Z Compute, and we also have some default Zadara Z Compute instance types, auto scale groups, EKS. So AWS has EKS. They also deployed EKSD, which is a distribution of EKS. And EKSD works on Z Compute no problem at all. And that's because we have the AWS API compatibility. And that is required by EKS and EKSD. So, and we're also coming out with our own version of EKS, we call ZKS, and it's going to be fully integrated into our portal, so you can deploy Kubernetes clusters off the bat there. The cloud init capability, so you'll be able to put your cloud init scripts in when you spin up your VMs. Now, on Kubernetes and VMware, you need an extra application, extra platform actually, which is Tanzu. And also for the autoscale groups, you need the VMware Cloud Director. And there's no such thing as instance types like you have for Z Compute and AWS. Then you've got your access with the SSH key pairs, machine imaging, and in VMware, you've got the templates. We follow very similar with AWS mode. We have a live console, so once you spin up your VM, whether it's Linux or Windows, you can go straight in from the web GUI into the console, whether it be the Windows desktop or a Linux terminal. And that's not available in AWS, but in VMware, you can use a VNC as well. We have VM Live Migration, which is not available in AWS, but you might know VMware has vMotion. Now, this is very important, especially when you've got on-premise clouds, when you need to do hardware refresh or expanding, or if there's any sort of issues at all, you can easily migrate VMs to a neighbor node and continue on business as usual. And you have full control of that. And you work together with our ops because it's fully managed service. We can do everything you need there. We've got some V2V machine image import capabilities and scripts. And we also have third-party partners that provide migrations and other services like that. And then you've got AWS with migration services and VMware with import utilities. ISO install, not a problem. AWS, no, it's just their types and their instances. VPC, this is very important. We had a analysis done by NTT, and they said that this functionality, which Paul also mentioned, is the two modes: VPC mode, we call it, and the DVS mode. Actually, DVS mode is really how we provide VMware capability functionality. It's quite simple. It's layer 2 flat network, no special funky design. And that's pretty much what you're used to with any sort of legacy networks or on-premise private clouds or just servers or VMware. And then the VPC is obviously what AWS specifically has. We also have it. And the distributed virtual switch DVS mode. AWS does not have this. Multi-tenant platform, so you in one tenancy, one account, your customer can have a VPC and a DVS mode project or multiple of, and obviously multiple tenants can have multiples of, so very, very flexible. And the EAM policies. So yeah, very, very powerful set where we are able to do both AWS capabilities and VMware capabilities plus more. Okay, thank you. Next screen. This goes into a little bit more detail of these, plus we've included Nutanix, just because a lot of people ask why, what's the difference between us and Nutanix? Very simply, Nutanix is a sort of like a very small office solution. It's not large cloud scale solution, and it's hyper-converged, whereas we got isolated storage and isolated compute, even though it's in the same package, the same cloud stack. Both components are independently scalable, which is very important in the cloud game, especially for licensing of Windows and Oracle and things like that. You don't want licenses based on your storage in a hyper-converged world. And then we've got, obviously the AWS VMware. So the VPC networking model, AWS zCompute, yes. VMware, Nutanix, no. Live migration, zCompute, AWS, VMware, yeah, they've all got the functionality. VM diversity, yes, they've all got that. On-premise hosting, VLAN extension integration. This is a killer. Many on-premise environments, your customers, they already have some kind of private cloud or network. Then connecting to their existing network can easily be done with this. We call it direct subnet. It's very powerful. And we can do that, yes. Live network diagram, it's just part of our package. You can see that on the portal, and it shows all of the elements. Pay-as-you-go model, yeah, very cloudy, AWS type. As Paul was saying, not many on-premise contract-based deals allow you to have the pay-as-you-go model, but this is our base, and it allows you to use as much as you need and go up and down as you need to. You don't need to be locked in to a massive startup for the next 3-4 years. Single console for everything, storage and compute, yes. Managed, yes, so fully managed. It's kind of like AWS, the cloud. Zadara supports the storage, the compute, the networking, any incidents, any refreshes, any upgrades, everything fully managed. And you don't need to have to pay any extra for that. There's no data egress costs. This is just part of the bundle. Obviously, AWS, there's a lot of hidden costs there. VMware and Nutanix depends on their setup. And the ability to dedicate drives to each tenant. This is only with Zadara, and this is very important for some financial institutions where they actually not only want to dedicate drives to the tenant, but they also want to remove drives and shred those drives to make sure that the data is being removed. And we can physically deliver drives to customers if the need be. No one else will do this. Okay, thank you. So this is getting back to those two modes, and this is really a killer, having the VPC type project and the DVS type project. As you can see here, the VPC project provides you with a lot more functionality, layer 3 networking. You've got your subnets, you've got your routing tables, all wrapped inside your VPC. Whereas on the DVS project, which you might be familiar with, you have the just the straight VLANs, and these could be just VLANs extended from your current network, your current cloud or private cloud, or just your basic server system at home, at your office or in your data center. So having these two capabilities there in the same tenant account is extremely powerful, and they coexist. So there are many times when you'd want to kind of just migrate out of VMware or some private cloud or some legacy system, and you just don't want to do a massive network design change yet, then you could go straight into a DVS project. And then later you want to do a more modern cloud-based network design, you could set up your VPC project alongside it, and then start to migrate your instances and your workloads and your data over to the VPC project when you feel comfortable. No rush, and it's always available. Okay, thank you. Just a little bit more details on the VPC. Paul mentioned a few of these. So you've got your IPv4 subnets, your routing tables, security groups, DHC options, DNS. You can set up your cloud init, auto-scaling groups, load balancer, elastic IPs, AWS IPs compatibility, APIs compatibility. This is a very important. So if you are already using AWS and using the APIs, then your scripts can pretty much move over to zCompute and run just as they are. And that's proven by the fact that we can run EKSD Kubernetes clusters using the AWS Cloud Controller, doing the same thing. And you can see this diagram, it just looks like an AWS design diagram. zCompute runs exactly the same. Okay, thank you. And this DVS mode. So if you're moving away from your legacy environment or VMware, then it's just the same. There's nothing tricky about it. It's just a simple VLAN-based layer 2 network, and you can span from the customer's network over to your zCompute network on the same VLAN. Obviously, different IPs, so there's no conflict. And you'll be able to access your existing services and your new services with your same network. It's very easy, and no problems. And even for migrations, it's very, very smooth and very little downtime if you needed to migrate. And in the magical world of zero downtime, it still doesn't exist when you're moving platform to platform, but we do a pretty good job. So it's very simple. Okay, so that's the main components there, and I'll hand this back to you. Shall I, Paul?
Yeah, sure. And then we'll come back on BBT.
Okay, good.
All right. So this part here that we'll cover fairly quickly is the migration component, and how do we get you there? So we have migration tools. We have a few tools that you can choose from depending on what the requirements are. This one for VMware to Zadara. The interesting thing here is it's agentless, okay? Where you've got a picture over here on the left of the VMware environment and the picture over on the right pushing to the Zadara environment. We've got customers using this, and Matt will talk about it in a second, in the field at the moment, using these tools to migrate from VMware to Zadara. So the migration is source side is VMware, target side is us, and then again it's agentless, which means it uses the API to sync from VMware to Zadara. So it's simple to use, fast, and seamless, and you can pick up batches of VMs and move them across. You can halt and restart, so it's synced up. So if you're talking about getting to, the important thing here from a speed perspective is if you're trying to get somewhere by a certain time because you don't want to get the impact of the commercial licensing changes from VMware, using automated tools to accelerate that is a really good thing. If you're using Kubernetes, for example, or Tanzu, VMware Tanzu, there's also tools where you can move from Tanzu to Kubernetes. Kasten, or if that's a Veeam product, is an example of that. So there's also tools out there that we can provide that are all Zadara tested and certified to move you on either VMware or VMware Tanzu. So just quickly some use cases. So this is the last part of the session, just talking about what we've done so far, and Matt's going to specifically talk about one of the use cases that he's involved in. So just some, this is not all, this is the one sort of in our area where we're seeing migrations and projects underway. So there's one in Japan called BBT, who's currently moving 1,000 VMs, approximately 1,000 VMs across. They're an MSP, they're a managed service provider. Matt's going to talk about them on the next slide. And then you have a company called Matrix in Israel that's running around about 495 VMs. So this one's completed. The top one is underway at the moment. When we say side by side, this goes back to one of what the analysts were saying in the beginning of the conversation, which is maybe you leave the VMware environment as it is, but any net new developments or applications or projects, that's when you start putting it onto a different platform. So this is the dual vendor approach, where they continue to run VMware, but these are the new ones that they've been building up. So this is what we call side by side. Momit in Italy, they've got about 101 VMs running. They're in public sector. And then Sortus, this one's in Spain. This is a big project, which is just about to start, where they're moving away from VMware onto Zadara on-prem. These are all on-prem projects, so not in our public cloud. So I think the important thing here is we're doing it at the moment. Some have been completed, some are happening, some are small, some are large, they're all different varying sizes, and some use different tools depending on what the requirement is. So Matt, if you want to just spend a few minutes talking about the BBT one that you're involved in, that'd be really good.
Absolutely. So we've been working with BBT over the last couple of years. We set them up with their first cloud on-premise in their data center last February. And they got a really good handle on it really quickly. They were looking at this VMware issue coming along, and they wanted to check out the solutions, possible options. And they soon realized that Zadara was a great option for them, not only as a new cloud platform, but an alternative to VMware. And they really didn't like the contractual requirements and the lock-in that the new subscription plans provided to them. So the licensing model and very aggressive change date, they must choose like next month type of approach. So being able to have both the DVS and VPC flexibility, at the cost performance, we will always win against VMware or AWS or any of these guys, and the cloud scalability. So we did a virtual POC with them. We then sent them the actual physical stack, did their testing, and then used a couple of different migration tools, and just constantly migrating all of their VMware platforms over. That's 300 customers in total, and this year should be about 700 VMs. Maybe next March will be 1,000 VMs. They're just constantly adding new nodes and scaling up their cloud. So this has turned out to be a really great partner for us, and we for them. So we're looking forward to some really interesting things together with BBT in the market, and also Federated Edge. So they're interested to work with other partners like Sandz and others across the globe over the Federated network. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Well, that was the last slide. So just in summary, I think you can see that there's a pivot point with VMware at the moment because of the acquisition and the cost increases. That's what the analysts are saying, and that's what we're seeing. We've been around and we've developed some interesting technology if you're running legacy in VMware before the Broadcom acquisition that gives you both the option to stay on that VMware platform, that networking topology, or you can choose a cloud native VPC, which is unique. And then on top of that, from a commercial perspective, because we're a born in the cloud company, we provide you that consumption model. So it's quite an interesting story. Be great. Please reach out to the Sandz team that put this together today, and we can have some more conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul and Matt, for that very insightful discussion. But before we move forward, just a quick reminders to everyone. If you still have any questions, please feel free to drop them via the Q&A button on your screen, and we will address the questions later. Again, thank you to our Zadara experts for that discussion. Now we understand just how a Zadara-powered IaaS can be a good and viable alternative should you be looking for something other than VMware. It is also exciting to know that the hypervisors are already included in our Zadara IaaS. So we are looking forward to having further discussion with all of you on this alternative approach. Now you might be asking, what role does Sandz Solutions play here as your managed services provider? To lead that discussion, we have here Mimina Lihor, who began her Sandz career more than a decade ago as a sales representative offering enterprise data center solutions to different industries. With a corporate direction focusing on managed services, she shifted gears and led the company's business development efforts. To date, she acts as a sales director in charge of expanding the company's client portfolio for managed services while also building business partnership with other resellers for additional coverage across the market. Hello, Mimi. Good morning and take it away.
Good morning, Jalai, and thank you for that introduction. At least I am a decade less than Paul in IT. Anyway, thank you, Paul and Matt, for that very comprehensive discussion on how we can help companies move out from VMware with Zadara Infrastructure as a Service in the most seamless, simplest, and easiest way possible. Okay, however, as they say, a technology is only as good as the one who implements or executes it, right? So the execution of the actual migration, shifting from one hypervisor, be a lot of headache as well. Those requires a lot of time, effort and careful planning. Preparation, we need to consider each step-by-step method, and we need to take a look into the holistic aspect of the migration, considering the impacts on the application, possible downtime, and even putting possible rollback methods in case something goes wrong. Okay, so hence, that's where Sandz Solutions Philippines, as a managed service provider, can definitely help you. Next slide, please. Okay. Sandz is a premier managed services provider who has been in the enterprise market for 24 years, helping our clients in their IT modernization and business resiliency journey. So we are headquartered in Singapore, and we have regional presence in Pan-Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and etc. Our local office here is in Radha, Makati. We started as an SI way back 2000, so more than 24 years. But with the same skill set and expertise, we have transitioned our services from providing data center infrastructure and data protection solutions to a much more and beyond. Next slide, please. So as an SI before, we probably will just supply you with these technologies, help you implement it, and then see you again in the next refresh cycle. Or if there are some troubles or issues, you might want to call us off. But we acknowledge that our clients really definitely need more than that, no? Hence, what we do right now is offer you these technologies as a complete, fully scalable, cloud-like infrastructure for modernization, which basically are infrastructure as a service. We have storage as a service and compute as a service offering. And to safeguard your IT operations, that ensures recoverability. We have the backup as a service. We have your disaster recovery as a service, air gap as a service, and archiving services offering for modern data protection. Then we can move forward to platform and application modernization. And everything, of course, can be consumed as a service, which means faster, less complex, because we are here to manage it for you. The best thing is less financial risk for your companies because it's full consumption, pay per use. It's like if it doesn't work, then don't pay us. Okay, so next slide, please. So again, this has been our framework for the past decades, focused on providing services under our domain expertise, which is infra modernization and modern data protection, and moving towards platform and application modernization. These services can be deployed to your own private data centers, private cloud of a specific company or customer perhaps, to our partner local cloud service providers, both in country and outside, and even to our hyperscaler cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP. So regardless, wherever you want these services to be deployed, you will experience the same features, benefits, and SLA, whether you decided to do private, public, or multi-cloud or hybrid, whether now or in the future. So just like what Matt and Paul discussed earlier, whatever the IaaS offering features and benefits that they have mentioned, if you subscribe it on-premise, then you get to avail all of those. If you subscribe it in the cloud, in our cloud service providers, you also get the same features and benefits. It will be a seamless experience across, or vice versa, or a mixed approach. Okay, so of course, to ensure that we provide these managed services in the SLA that has been agreed and committed to you, we do not just rip and replace people from your organization. It doesn't make sense. We make use of these various enabling technologies to ensure that SLAs are met. Majority might not seem to be that familiar if you can see not so familiar brands there, because these technologies are born in the cloud technologies, which are specifically created and designed to address the modern business challenges. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So again, with Sandz, we offer you these various deployment methods depending on what suits you well. Next slide, Ange. So for example, if you're not yet ready to fully move to the cloud yet, for whatever reason, may it be legacy applications, network concerns, budget, etc., no worries. We can deploy these services on your own data center within your firewall and dedicated to your company. So definitely less transitions needed, less hassles as well. Moving out of VMware to a more cohesive private cloud platform like Zadara IaaS, but to be still deployed on-premise or within the same data center that you have before, is as seamless as you get to retain the same network and security policies and controls that you have before. As discussed earlier by Paul and Matt, you even get to choose the best of both worlds, right? Choose between or run simultaneously the DVS and the VPC mode. The DVS mode, which will basically retain your legacy network of VMware, so less transition hassles, and at the same time, you can already explore or run under VPC mode, for an advanced modern infrastructure network setup. Okay, but let's say from VMware and moving to the cloud is really something that your company has been looking at ever since before. As part of your modernization journey, we have this partner cloud service providers for you. So we have Zadara cloud service providers around the globe, which are located in different countries around the globe as well. But more so, we have a local Zadara CSP partner too in the Philippines, no? So especially for those who have applications that are required to be in country and those who have data sovereignty requirements. Okay. We also have services that run in our hyperscaler cloud providers because we have a very seamless integration with these hyperscale cloud providers. As mentioned by Matt, most of the APIs are compatible with this. And we also have our local telco partners, Globe and PLDT, that can provide you the disaster recovery services for your company. So if ever you might want to retain your production applications on-prem and your secondary site or your DR site to a service provider or vice versa, or do a hybrid or multi-cloud approach, wherever is your best execution venue. We know that not everything will go up to the cloud. Some applications are best run on-prem, some are up there, some are hybrid. It doesn't actually matter that much to us. We will provide a seamless experience of these services across, regardless of the location. Okay, next slide, please. So our methodology process is consistent regardless of the location as well. As an SI before, probably we are just focused on this build and deploy method. The build and deploy, ensuring we implement properly, and then we hand over everything to our client. Just call us when you encounter a problem in the future. But as a managed service provider, monitoring and managing is one of the huge chunk of what we do for you, ensuring that the lights are always on. It can be a full system management of the service that we deploy or a co-management setup, depends on what we agree. Okay. So definitely it will be more proactive, alerts and monitorings. We are there even before the problem arises. And we have subject matter experts and technical resources that helps us understand and improve our services better. Okay, then of course, expect a more proactive support from us and the technology partners. And as we do a regular assessment, like monthly reports or quarterly service reviews, and quickly and plan out on how we can address and better improve the service as we go along with the subscription. This actually becomes a cycle methodology process for us and for you, meaning we are with you all throughout this subscription journey. Next slide. So again, why Sandz Managed Services? Because we have very flexible managed services to meet your company's specific requirements, specifically on infra modernization and modern data protection. We have modern technologies combined with the expertise and trusted methodologies to ensure that we comply to the most stringent service level agreements. We offer you our local team with 24 years of experience and skill sets that we gathered, honed over these decades, that can support you 24/7, remote and on-site. And most especially, our most unique offering, all these services can be in pay-per-use, fully consumption subscription model, zero CapEx, and with the least financial risk you can deploy anywhere. Next slide. This is my last slide, actually. So with that, we're saying that free yourself from worries. You are not stuck. You have a choice, okay? A better choice indeed. Whether it is one-time, big-time move out, or, you know, a side-by-side tiered migration approach, I say take that choice now. Let go, move out, and discover what Sandz Managed Services can do for you. Feel free to contact anyone from our sales and marketing team or with the details provided on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mimi, for sharing how Sandz can provide various managed services depending on their requirement and how they can use Sandz as an extension of their ITR. Now we take a quiz break. Are you excited? So we can give out a few prizes to our participants. The mechanics are simple. We'll be asking a total of 5 questions based on what presented by both Sandz and Zadara. And then the first one to submit the correct answer in the chat box, at least the letter of the correct answer in the chat box, will get a gift voucher from Sandz. So we will place a marker at the start of every question so we can easily check the answer. First participant that will send the correct letter of the correct answer based on the moderator's view will be declared winner. So just a reminder, make sure that your chat box is sent to everyone. So not direct messages, but to everyone. So are you guys ready? Yay. Okay. So everyone, question number 1. Okay, for our first question, please. Sandz Infrastructure as a Service is a 100% consumption-based solution that can support different use cases or workloads. This service is powered by A, VMware, B, Zadara. Ang bilis! I haven't finished yet the question, but there are answers. Okay, the correct answer is, of course, letter B, Zadara. And the first one on my view, ha? The first one on my view, congratulations to Paul Cruz. Mr. Paul Cruz, congratulations. Our marketing team will contact you shortly. Okay, for our next question. Okay, where's our marker? Okay. Again, sorry. Okay. Sandz Infrastructure as a Service powered by Zadara can be deployed on-premise, private cloud, public cloud, hybrid, or multi-cloud. Correct answer is, of course, A. Okay, medyo napabilis. Okay. After our marker Q2, the first one to answer on my view is Mark Glenn Rabi or Rune. Congratulations, Mark. Okay. Our marketing team will contact you shortly. Okay, our marker for question number 3 is here. Okay, question number 3. Who are our featured speakers from Zadara? A, Paul and Matt. B, Mark and Jack. What a nice name. Hey there, Matt. Okay, so from our view, congratulations to A, Paul and Matt. The first one to answer is Neil Oliver Samson. Neil Oliver Samson, congratulations. Okay, so our marketing team will contact you shortly. For question number 4, where's our marker? It's there already. Question number 4. Sandz Solutions Philippines is a managed services provider that has key expertise in data protection and blank optimization. Okay, ang bilis. The correct answer is, of course, infrastructure optimization. So the first one to answer is, okay, congratulations to Mr. Angelo Antonio. He answered letter B, infrastructure. Congratulations, sir. Our marketing team will contact you shortly. And for our last question, where's our marker? Okay, there's the marker. Question number 5. Sandz has been in the industry offering IT solutions since October of what year? A, 2000, B, 2005. The correct answer is, of course, we're on our 24th year. It's A, 2000. Let me check from my end. The first one to answer letter A is Marian Bangcolita. Congratulations, Marian Bangcolita. Our marketing team will contact you shortly. So congratulations to our 5 winners. Please expect an email or call from our marketing team regarding your prices. So now we are now at the tail end of the event, but before we end this morning session, we would like to open the floor for other questions from our participants. Please feel free to type in your question via the Q&A button so we can address them. Okay, with our panel speakers, let me check on some additional questions. Majority has been answered during the presentation, but we still have additional. Oops. Okay. Does your solution includes hardware and software of a cloud devices without additional cost? Paul or Matt, you may want to answer on this.
Short answer, yes. Yes.
Okay. So it's all inclusive or
Yes.
included. Okay. Is there an additional question? Paul and Matt, you may want to take a look at the answered question already, and you may want to give further answers to those.
Yeah, okay. So we saw a question there about firewall, and thanks, Mike, for adding that in there. We bundle the cloud stack on premise with a firewall to securely provide secure access for our operations teams. But as Mike also pointed out there, we got the security groups available within the VPCs, so you can set the various egress and egress on IPv4 and whichever ports. So there is a bit of flexibility and security controls there as well.
You could also run a Fortinet or a Palo Alto VM. Yeah, as a firewall within your environment.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the question on the comparison with the cost with AWS? Would you like to?
Is that the one that was saying
The TCO.
VMware AWS? Whether the question is against Zadara versus AWS or Zadara versus VMware on AWS, because you can do that as well. There will be we find in the market that we're lower. We're lower in costs from a TCO perspective because there's a lot of additional charges that you would get in an AWS environment for performance, for throughput, for transactions, for API calls, for reads, for writes that we don't charge for. We just charge for the base, storage cost or compute cost, and that means that it's also lower in cost, but it's also much simpler to understand and plan on your monthly bills. So you don't get the surprises from moving data. Also, we don't charge for egress, which AWS charge. So there's a lot of areas that we're not charging for, which ends up equating to lower bills.
Yeah,
especially if you're running VMware on AWS. Yeah,
you wouldn't run VMware on like Z-Compute either, obviously. So the VMware on AWS solution wouldn't be necessary because we provide both at both cheaper prices.
Yeah, there are also a few questions about migration. Maybe that's one of their apprehension on how smooth the migration will be. Can you further highlight on that, Matt and Paul?
Sure. Well, there's various ways to do the migrations. We got the scripts that you can do that you can use to migrate, and that's obviously just bundled in, no extra costs for that. They work. They just require you to manage it, or for Sandz to do it for you. There's no problem as well. There are some partners we work with that have the third-party solutions, obviously, that can work very smooth as well. And like Paul showed on the slides, using the VMware API, for example, to do a non-intrusive migration is very smooth. Yeah, there's many ways to skin the cat, and we can work with all of them. And it really does depend on the complexity of the existing infrastructure you're migrating away from. And if you're going from, for example, legacy or VM network over to a DVS mode, it's very smooth and very simple. If you wanted to move from a legacy or VMware type environment to an AWS type environment, the networking is different, the design is different. So it's naturally going to be a little bit more complicated in the design, but the actual migration of the workloads shouldn't be much different. It's just, you have to work out how you're going to work with the new designs of the network. But we can work with you and Sandz together to work out the smoothest path.
Okay, thank you, Matt. So I guess that's all the questions that has been raised. So thank you everyone for your questions. If you would be interested to know more about the Sandz IaaS powered by Zadara or our managed services offering, we can schedule a separate meeting after this event. Our marketing team will get in touch with you shortly. We have reached the end of this morning session. On behalf of Sandz Solutions and Zadara, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you very much and have a great day, everyone. God bless and see you soon. Don't forget to accomplish the feedback form. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.